Arvinda, great to have you on our program, The Business Detective. My first question to you is, other than your amazing cricketing talent, what really got you into professional cricket?
I think I started my career as a cricketer playing international cricket in 1983. And since then, I think most years which went by playing for Sri Lanka, I think I made so many relationships along the way. And also I was always inclined to get into my own line of business. So through the contacts and the networking I've had, I was always wanting to set up my own business and one day manage my own business empire.
Okay. How does it feel to be a celebrity, and how have you made use of it for the greater good of society?
Well, I think my vision always was to develop something and build something up so that I can help the community and more so do something which is tangible, which benefits the country, society, and of course, whoever who comes in as partners with me. So I think that is the motto I work on. And I'm happy to say that today we are able to put something together which is quite substantial.
What are some of your business accomplishments, and what are some of the projects you are engaged in currently?
Well, we are, first of all, I think we started our Mahindra franchise business in 2009, and we have reached almost 12 years of operation. And I think we've had quite a bit of success, but along the way, I must say that there have been numerous challenges. As you know, working in this sort of environment, there are so many challenges you've got to overcome, especially when it comes to consistent policies. So I guess it's a learning process for anyone facing those situations. But I'm glad that some of these situations I was able to face at a very young age playing cricket. So, and understanding to work as a team, use everyone's strengths, and also to make sure that these challenges are temporary, and to make to reach the ultimate goal. You've always got to overcome these difficult periods. So I guess it's been a journey which I really enjoy.
What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a businessman, and what improvements would you like to see?
Well, first of all, I think when we work and do a business, you do the business plan as per the market which is relevant to that particular country. And when it comes to Sri Lanka, the biggest challenge has been changes and inconsistency in policies, which makes it very difficult for us to have a long-term plan. And I think so basically we tend to take these challenges and also targets in short bursts, and then as a team, I think you've got to build within the team that capability which needs to be able to adapt to the situations and act pretty fast. I guess that's what you do even on a cricket field. Sometimes plan A doesn't work, and there aren't years and years for you to make the changes, but you've got to do those changes and look for other avenues to come out of it. So when you make decisions in a country like ours, you always have to have a backup plan if things change. So I guess that is the key and the most daunting challenge working and doing business in Sri Lanka.
What are some of the charitable projects that you are engaged in, given your celebrity status and that you are well known?
Well, charitable things I would never like to talk about. That's I think is a personal thing which where I wouldn't want any sort of publicity. And I think many people do charity work as per their affordability, and I think as a group we are very focused on that area to help the community, and I think it's our duty to make sure that we try and uplift everyone else's lifestyles and living standards. And I think through our business also, that is one of the areas we are very focused on, and even the product range we market is to enhance their livelihood. And if you take these trucks, they're mainly used by the small entrepreneurs, such as a farmer, an electrician, or you take any of these carpenters. So people like that who uses these kind of vehicles to enhance their livelihood, and then we are very happy to support them, and we are very much focus in that area, and that is one reason why we wanted to make sure that we had a very good aftermarket network, because these people use these vehicles for their daily earnings, and when those vehicles are off the road, they tend to lose their revenue. So we want to make sure that the vehicles, whichever is off the road, is back on the road very quickly. So that was one of the areas we had a lot of focus in.
Do you believe the private sector is doing enough to nurture some of the cricketing talent coming out of the rural schools? What more can they do?
Well, the private sector, I'm sure, will be very much interested in doing that. But I think it works both ways. At the end of the day, I think it's up to the administrators of the cricket board to use those people and get their support. And it shouldn't be one way. I think it should be a partnership. Always, I believe in give and take. So I guess and having very transparent systems would really help that process. So I believe there are enough and more people who are willing to help Sri Lanka cricket and the youth. And I know some people again comes up to me and says they're willing to help, but keep it very discreet. Whatever we need to do, to let us know. We are happy to help and support. So I think there are a lot of people like that where they don't want exposure. They love the game. They love the cricketers. And what they want to do is to only help them in their journey. So I had a pathway called Coca-Cola pathway, and there was so much of support, and that was run completely independent to the Board of Control for Cricket, rather Sri Lanka Cricket. So there was an enormous amount of support, especially from Coca-Cola initially, and then of course there were so many individuals who were willing to contribute, because I started that as one of my own CSR projects, and when I allocated a small budget which I could afford, Coca-Cola came and told me, look, we want to expand on it, and they're willing to support. So they really supported, and for 10 years we continued that and supported some of those cricketers. And Pathum Nissanka was one of those young cricketers, I think, who was donated with some cricket gear at the time, long ago. So I'm happy to see some of these youngsters coming through, and there's so enormous amount of talent which is out there. So we need to be very good in nurturing that talent and looking after that for the future.
As a cricketer, you have stayed out of politics. How do we actually prevent the ups and downs in Sri Lankan cricket?
Yeah, well, as I said, it's got to be a professional outfit who should be understanding and running cricket purely because I feel the support and everything what needs to be given has to be structured and to make sure that good people are installed in important positions, especially when it comes to coaching and nurturing the youngsters. You need to guide them. It's like a home front. If the grounding is not right and the basics are not proper, then it becomes very, very hard to change them later on. And especially once they reach a certain standard, because once they get decent amount of money into their hands, and if they're not grounded enough, they wouldn't know how to handle it. So I think it's very, very important to understand that the game has changed. It's become more professional. There's more money in it. So you need to educate them on how to handle all these situations at a very young age before they get there. And I think that is the key to be able to guide them in doing so.
Arvinda, you have also been a very successful businessman. What advice would you give a young budding businessman?
Well, business is always a good thing to do because you want to try and probably implement what is in your own mind. And I think a lot of the youngsters nowadays who works for even big companies, after a few years says, okay, I want to do my own thing. And I think it's a good thing because it brings the best out of an individual and they start to think on their own. So I think if you have an idea, if you are confident that a certain thing is going to work, I guess my thing is to take that risk at a very young age and go for it. And that way you've got time to learn through the mistakes and come back at a later stage. Because if you are going to take risk at an older age, there's hardly any time for you to learn from those mistakes and come back. But I've made a lot of mistakes doing business, so I guess you learn through those processes. And if you're willing to learn, I think that is the key in cricket or any other thing. You should be willing to learn at all times.
I can't let you go without asking one cricketing question. Who would you say would be the greatest three batsmen and three bowlers in the last 100 years?
Well, that's a very, very tough question. Without a doubt, I can say that Viv Richards was one of my favorite and all-time great batsmen. And I will probably miss out some, I'm sure. Sunil Gavaskar, Viv Richards, and maybe Roy Dias from Sri Lanka, whom I saw as one of the greatest batsmen before my time also. So as bowlers, I think Shane Warne, Wasim Akram, and Richard Hadley. Those were three other greatest bowlers also I have faced during my time.
Any up-and-coming cricketers?
In Sri Lanka, quite a few. As I mentioned, there are quite a few, and I think it's entirely up to the administration and the coaching division to make sure that these guys are nurtured properly. Because I feel when it comes to playing international cricket, it's nothing to do with talent. A lot of these guys, when they get to that level, they all have talent, but ultimately it becomes how you approach the situation and the attitude, mental strength, and the fitness. Those are the three key areas which ultimately makes a difference.
Okay. My final question to you is, how would you like to be remembered finally?
Well, a very simple person who wanted to do the best in whatever I did, and to help the society and help the needy. I think if someone says that I've been there for them at all times, I think that is what I would like to be remembered as.
Thank you, Arivinda. Great talking to you, and all
You're
the
welcome.
best.
You're welcome.